Hi guys, good morning. So today I'm going to work in some text boxes for the game, make them dynamic so we can use them wherever we want. One thing we'll be using them for is the command call out during battle at the top, and obviously we want it to adapt to the size of the input text. We'll also be using it for other UI stuff in the future, text box probably for talking to peeps. So yeah, the key thing is to have it dynamic so that we don't have to keep drawing boxes like this one wherever we intend to use them. To start off, I'm going to use this box because it's quite nice and simple. So give me a moment here. Yeah, so you can see how I've cut it up down here. I'll zoom in. This is practically the premise of how we'll work it, is that there are 9 components to the text box, right? We've got our corners, we've got the borders between linking the corners, and then we've got like the empty box itself. So if we were to stretch this box out, what we'd be doing is, based on how we need to transform it, if we were moving this outwards like this, we would need the top borders and the bottom borders to keep repeating until it's seamlessly linked. Same goes for like the fill in the middle. But yeah, the first step was to cut this up using the same cut up technique here as I did for the players, and there we go. That's all the little parts of the box cut up. Probably order it a bit. I don't think the order matters as long as it corresponds to the enumerator we'll be using to index the different pieces. Here we go. This is first implementation. You can see that it's only using the first image from the sprite, and you can also see that it's like completely constrained to that 8x8 grid. So like even if I do, because right now it's drawing just top corner of the screen to the mouse, if I slightly move my mouse to the right, you can see it only like updates when it's like got enough room to put a full 8x8, which we don't really want. We want it to basically perfectly scale to the mouse. Almost perfect here. You can see it just specific widths and heights. Draws an extra corner there, but I think it would be pretty seamless if I got rid of that. Okay, looks pretty good to me. It crumbles here if I get to this like minimum. It happens at the top too, but text boxes won't be that small, so I don't have to worry about that really. Cool, let's think of ways to use them. Let's give our first implementation a go of using the text box. Choose a command, flame. Box looking a little bit small though. Oh. Have another go. Flame. Hey, looks a bit better. Not properly centered, but whatever. Let's try shocky shock shock. Hey, that looks a bit better. Although that doesn't do too much for my little command window here. A little bit of overflow there. I haven't really given myself much room for command names. I probably want this to be just a bit wider, but hey, it's all about that classic style, you know. Yeah, with the longer name it looks alright. Cool. And probably lingers a bit too long. Probably want that to end earlier in the animation. Nice. Might cut the video here, but because I think the next use I'll be doing would be talking to NPCs, and I think that one might be a bit of a struggle in itself, because you got to be concerned about like the text wrapping, and it's a whole different game state, right? You need to like pause everything else while text is running. Either that or menus, whichever I feel like. Peace out, dudes. First tries the charm. Beautiful. Perfection. Hey, morning, good guys. It's Henez. Okay, so this is today's challenge. I'm working on the dialogue box for NPCs. So this guy that we could talk to before, and he would just turn at us and then have a question mark on his head to like prove that NPCs were at least reacting to us. I've advanced that a bit. Now when I enter it, I enter like a talking state. I can't move. All I can do is hit E again to exit the dialogue as though I'm finishing it. And then you can see the dude's turned towards me. He still does that fine. So the first thing we need to do here, we've got the state set up so I can't walk or anything, and I've disabled battling. Of course, battling would only check if I battling would only trigger if I was walking anyway. You can see early progress on this. Text boxes are a little bit fiddly because not only do you have to like set up a state for them so that you can't like walk or do anything, they're essentially their own menu. You have to do a lot of formatting stuff. Not only do I have to format it properly to the text box, which right now is very elongated just so I can see all the text, but if we want to do like a typewriter effect so it scrolls across, and then stuff like that, and then like letter highlighting and stuff if we want to get fancy. I'll show you like the input to start off with. So the way it works is things that will have text will have their own dialogue objects. So if I find where my NPC object was in here, you can see that actors already had a collision box here. Now they've also got a dialogue object here which controls the dialogue stuff. This is essentially where all the variables to do with dialogue stuff will be in the future, because every dialogue object will have its own dialogue and functionality and stuff. After I create the dialogue based on what object it's on, I'd have to like set the text and then have it run dialogue cut into lines afterwards. But for now I'm just testing this long input string which reads as follows: hello young heroes, activating this dialogue should set the game into an NPC talking state. It should not overflow the sides of the box. It should also cut itself up appropriately so that it can be progressed through pressing a button. Once the dialogue is finished showing, it should close the prompt and return control to the player. So our own little test text has our instructions for it. You can see I've made it very long. Now, one really annoying thing is, I mean, way in the future I might read text from file and stuff because there'll be a lot of it, but I had it before like this, so it was cut up and it looked really nicely, but GameMaker then reads that string as you're adding line break characters, and trying to figure out how to get rid of those was very annoying. I did find solutions, but they were to do with reading it from a text file and not anything that you just hard code into the editor. So that's why I've left it very long and annoying like that. Cool, so that's what it's trying to draw. I'll go back into it. So this is the result we're getting now. What I'll do is I'll try and get up is the draw script alongside it. The windows might be just a bit too big. Well, I can't get this floating window above it. You know what, I'll just remove. Haha, that's a better way. Yeah, so this is all the draw is. The object that comes in is that dialogue object I showed, and it's stored in our object main draw because all the drawing's done from that. And you can see I'm just looping through the lines of the dialogue object D, and I'm drawing a number for the index 0, 1, 2, 3 so I can see where the lines have started, and then it's drawing the result of the text being cut down into lines because the text starts out as one giganto line, but what this dialogue cut text into lines does is it will loop through the characters, and once they become long enough where we want to cut it off, because our text box has a certain size, at the moment it's a width of 200, we want to cut that, call that line 1, and then start constructing the next line. So if you can read the code, you can kind of read how I'm going about it there. And obviously it's incomplete because the result we're getting is very incomplete. You can see it does cut pretty much correctly, so it's like contained in this rectangle, but it's doing it undesirably because hello young here is activating this dialogue. We shouldn't be starting this line with a space, for instance, and then here NPC talking state, we shouldn't be cutting up words like that. What should be happening is it gets MC into an NPC talking, and now there's not enough room for the next word, so we put the whole next word on the next line. That's what should be happening, and that's part of what makes this kind of complicated. Then after we've even got the lines going out properly, we actually need to be able to progress through multiple dialogue windows, because we'll only have like 4 lines of dialogue on one window until you got to progress it, and then we have to, basically all this effort is trying to save us from having to manually like write out the text lines ourselves, because it is possible to do that. I could like estimate that it gets to there before I have to new line it, but you could see it would be very inconsistent and a lot of effort. It's easier if we can just read in a whole bunch of text and then use some fancy thinking to cut it down how we need. So that's what I'm going to be working on. Yeah, starting with the words going on the new line. So this is what it looks like so far in my cut up script. Expect this to get a bit bigger and a bit uglier. Goodbye.